I'm Gabor Gaspar from Hungary, and I do interviews with people who can help us to live a fulfilled life. And today I'm going to interview and talk with Gabor Harsanyi, a Hungarian master of silence. And I'm going to ask him questions and we're going to talk. And I don't know what's going to happen in this interview, but I'm sure you will give us great insights.
Sure, we'll see.
So what I'm curious about is that most of the people think that the way to happiness, lasting happiness, is accumulation. So if we are having the right job, if we will have enough money, if we go to enough vacations, if we have the right body, so like when everything is perfect in our outer world, we will be happy. And in our conversations, you pointed out that the way to lasting happiness is not out there and not in accumulation, but in presence. And my question is that how can we turn inside and find the happiness within?
Well, the kind of happiness that we can accumulate with more money and better this and better that, and I'll be happier when I have more money, or happier when I have a girlfriend, what have you. It's got some value, and it's true that reaching a goal or reaching a desire, it's very satisfying, and it's got its positive feelings, etc. So our current human mind that works on accumulation and works on making distinctions in life. By distinctions, I mean good and bad, tall and short, and rich and poor, etc. Our current contrast mind likes that, appreciates it, and figures out with its own limitation that, of course, it would make sense that if we add up all these goodies, then the happiness will accumulate, and that we will be perhaps permanently happy, or happier than we have ever been, etc. Because the contrast human mind only knows that kind of happiness, the happiness that comes from comparison, in comparison to something else, or in relation to something else. It sort of makes sense for the mind, and I personally have done that for a long time, and I was an advocate of that kind of happiness. Let's get more and more educated, let's get stronger and stronger, let's make more and more money, etc., etc. So again, that kind of happiness is just fine. There's only one problem with it, is that with the happiness comes unhappiness. So the kind of happiness that brings is in the swing, is in so-called duality, where we have happiness and unhappiness, happiness and unhappiness. So we can be sure that the kind of happiness that results from that kind of activity is temporary. That is the problem. And even if we add up all the happinesses that are temporary, we're not going to get to a big, huge happiness that is not temporary. So temporary happiness will be temporary happiness, no matter how grand of a scale we think it is. We have an alternative within us that is a human ability that's dormant, that when activated results in a kind of happiness that's not temporary. It's absolutely, it's always there. It's forever, and it's not it's not sensed the same way as the so-called normal happiness that's in the swing. There is a happiness that's steady. It's always there, always supporting you, but it cannot be gotten as a result of accumulating happiness that's on the swing, happy, unhappy. It can be only reached as a personal activation, as a result of a personal activation. What is a personal activation? A personal activation is activating an ability that lays dormant within me by taking my attention and pointing them inside the body. Where actually, by pointing my attention inside the body, I'm accessing the intelligence that runs my body. And that is permanent. That intelligence is permanent. My heart is always beating, and all my body functioning, whether I'm happy or not happy. So accessing this human intelligence is standard. It's available. All the ingredients for it are already available within us, but in order to access it, actually we have to activate it. Activation simply means that we take our normal attention and sharply angle it inside the body. We get to a very, very nice, relaxed space where the mind actually slows down or stops. And by doing this activation frequently, eventually we will get to a place where this activated organ, the body, and its abilities become totally permanent. And that's what I call our birthright. And that happiness is a much better happiness than the other happiness. Simply because it's permanent and it doesn't shift. That happiness is there even though I could be sad, and that underlying happiness could be so overwhelming that the sadness within me will be negligible, for example. So that's how I would compare the two happinesses, if that's sort of what you were asking, Gabor.
I was. And that it's not just happiness there, but as you said, there is an intelligence within us that we are not in touch with. Why is it good for people to activate the body?
Mm-hmm. Well, when we activate the body, quote unquote, when someone hears it first, it doesn't make any sense for the current mind, because it's not that kind of concept. It's not in the inventory of the mind, so that we could actually understand it or value it. We will be able to value it only when we actually experience it. And I think your question referred to the practicality of it, right, Gabor?
Yes.
The practicality of it. Yeah, it's by activating this organ and by feeling this, consistently feeling this underlying feeling of what I call, hey dude, it's nice to be alive. Whatever, you know. We can run our life from a whole different platform. We can say higher platform. There is no higher or lower, but in this context, in this answer, I can use that from a better platform, from a more peaceful platform, from a platform where anything we want to do in life, we get universal help. The metaphor I like using, and some people are offended, but the metaphor I like using is that by activating the body, it feels like we're holding God's hand. So I'm always holding God's hand, and everything I want to do in life, the whole universe can participate in. So if I need an answer, I can pull it down from universal intelligence. If I need to know what kind of a goal I should set for myself, the universe can participate with me in defining it. If I need to adjust my relationship or get into a better one or fix the current one or whatever, if I need a really wonderful relationship, the universe participates in getting us a new relationship or fixing the current one. So you can take any aspect of life, any kind of success, any kind of goal setting, any kind of business venture, relationship, friendship. Our life gets exponentially better. By better, I mean as it is measured by the contrast reality. Contrast reality have its measurements, and we not yet have a measurement for the reality that I call ratio reality. Ratio reality is the activated body and its derivatives. So based on the measurement of our current value system, all everything about our life, whatever you can imagine, gets much, much, much better. We have an opportunity for every aspect of our life to get much, much, much better. And we become conflict-free. We will automatically participate in aspects of life that contributes to everyone's well-being. Humanity aspect gets better, world peace gets better. So that's about the short and end of it, Gabor. Basically, everything gets better in such a way that I can't even explain.
Because no matter how hard we try to thrive in this world, in the conflict reality, we cannot thrive because there will always be conflicts.
Exactly, you're right on. It's we can try, and I know many people who tried. I know many people who actually participate and do the work and discipline and meditate and plan and all this. And I was certainly one of those people myself. And no matter how hard we try, the happiness and the satisfaction we reach is always temporary. And so we might as well go for the happiness that is permanent. The real big deal about this, or the real big joke about the whole thing, is that to activate the body and live our life by holding God's hand is so much more effective and so much easier than the other way. We can work very, very, very hard and get gray hair and still not get to this kind of happiness that's permanent. Or we can work with a lot of ease and effortlessness and get a whole lot more done. Fly higher, be better, be more peaceful, etc., etc. And the cost is so much less. By cost, I mean the allocation of energy, the trial and error. It is so much easier. There is only one cost, however, is to some extent we have to start conquering our current mind by bypassing it and activating the body. So that is the price to pay for that kind of permanent happiness.
But the funny thing is that it takes only a shift of attention that we can do it now.
Exactly. It takes, we can only enter the now. We can only activate the body now with a shift of attention. It's really not very hard. The only reason it's hard because the human mind, the current human mind, cannot control it or understand it Therefore, the current mind labels it hard. But it's just the opposite. It's easy. So you can either make it easy for yourself or impossible. So it's not gonna ever be hard. It's just gonna be either impossible or, wow, look how easy it is. Oh my God, this it? Really? Is that easy? Yeah. It's that easy. It's that simple.
And how can one shift his or her attention inside?
It takes a bit of practice. And I don't like to use the word practice because it implies that I'm getting better at something. But I don't have a better expression. Perhaps I can repeat the exercises frequently. That might work better. But let's use practice for now, because we're not used to paying. There is a direction of attention that we're not used to at all. That used to be perfectly normal when we were children. And then education and society and all the fears have taken and hijacked our attention in that direction. Look at that, look at that, look at that. And even things like feelings, if you were a feeling type of person or a sensitive person, that wasn't really desirable. So at one time it was normal, so all we want to do is re-engage ourselves with the pointing our attention inside. We're not used to it, so it takes some practice. However, there's a very simple test that you can do for yourself. You can test yourself. If you, as you're looking at me now, you can look straight forward, but be aware of your hands. Feel your hands if you like, without looking at it. So I'm not looking at my hand. I'm feeling my hand. I'm aware of my hand, and I'm looking forward. Almost instantly, you can feel the mind slowing down, or in some case, stopping. Now, this simple exercise will tell you whether or not you are ready for this kind of simplicity. If you like this type of simplicity, or if it's sympathetic for you, whatever that word is, you'll know in your heart whether you like this type of simplicity. Then you can step on a path, which is not really a path, but that's the word that comes up, that leads to this amazing simplicity and this permanent feeling of happiness. So by repeating the inner exercises, it'll be permanent for you. The exercises are valid and work whether you feel good or not good at this moment. So you could have depression, you could still look inside. You can have fear of something, you can still look inside. So it's irrespective of life circumstances. We don't need to have our life in optimum circumstance in order for this to work. It's not hard. I usually say, why would the Creator make it hard for us to go home? So no need for good deeds, accumulating personality traits, clearing something, clearing emotions, adjusting chakras, putting your life in order financially before you engage this. Many people think that their life will have to be in total order before they engage in this kind of activity. And that's absolutely not true. So it can be engaged only now, totally irrespective of your situations, circumstances, financial standing, social standing, fitness, shape of your chakras, whatever.
We can do these practices in any moment, so we do not have to sit down and meditate or do these practices, but anytime during the day, it's not a separate event, but it's an exercise that we can do during walking, working, and in any moment.
Yes, absolutely. It's the best way to practice it is while you're doing your life, whatever you were doing anyway. I call it accompanying consciousness. It accompanies us every moment while we're doing what we're doing. I'm talking, and the consciousness accompanies me now. If I was walking, it would accompany me. If I'm talking to Gabor like I am now, it accompanies me. It's never separate from any event that I do in my life, that comes up in my life. Very, very important, crucial piece of information. If we do it as a separate event, the contrast mind will take control of it and put it back in time. And then as soon as it's back in time, it will not be effective. So it's an accompanying consciousness. It feels like a feeling. It accompanies every event, everything that we do, every thought that we think. It's a universe's gift to us. Once activated, it's free. No deserving needed. No preamble needed. Don't need to qualify for it. Mind you, if there is a qualification, the only qualification is your willingness to do some of the inner exercises and stay simple. So that may be a prerequisite, but the prerequisites have nothing to do with your accomplishments. Like, for example, it's not a continuation of your successful career. It's also not something that we do instead of a career. But nothing to do with anything except your willingness, readiness to be simple, and your readiness to be able to just, for example, be aware of your hand. And if you like that simple thing, you're ready.
What if when the mind comes up again and says something and, oh, again, the mind is here. Oh, what do we do then?
Yeah, well, it accompanies us. And first of all, this type of power, it's not force, it's rather the original power, is a lot more powerful than anybody's crazy, limited, stupid mind, including mine. So no matter what anyone says, this is a lot more powerful. So, for example, if a friend of mine comes up and tells me I'm an idiot because I'm engaged in such a stupid, useless thing instead of getting into making more money or whatever, right? All I have to do is take some of my previously practiced inner focus. I usually show it like this. I take my attention and angle it into the body. And even a little bit of angling into the body will immediately bypass those thoughts, which is an immediate demonstration of its power. It's sort of like if God is with me, who is against me type of stuff. Even a little bit of angling in wins against the fearful, disturbing comments that we may get in our life. The disturbing, fearful comments will come. And we're not against them. In a sense, we are welcoming them because we're using those fearful thoughts, ours or somebody else's, as catalysts. Catalyst simply means that it facilitates something without changing itself. So we really welcome the disturbance, because now we have, let's put it this way, now we have something to push against. We can take that thought, any kind of fear, and angle in. Like I said, it works every time. It wins every time. By win, I mean the negativity that comes at us, which will come at us, can be and will be conquered every time we're capable of angling into the body and accessing this amazing power. It's not an exclusive right of anyone, and especially it's not an exclusive right of any organization, religion. This is a direct path that is yours. A direct path between you and God, without the organizational dilly-dally. Whatever we call it.
And that's how we are going to live a fulfilled, or that's how we are going to be alive, by bypassing any negative, fearful thought and those institutions and everything that the mind tells us.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Everything that the mind tells us, our own mind or someone else's mind, can be and will be bypassed successfully, guaranteed, simply by taking our attention, our free will, or I call it freed will, attention that has been freed up and able to angle into the body, that will win every time, whether it's my own idiosyncrasy of my own mind, someone else's, some kind of an institutionally approved fear. There's plenty of them. It's the institution's interest to keep on having fear so that you keep on going as a slave and keep on going forward based on their directives and interests. It's not an institutional interest for you to have this type of calm power. Life will change for a much better life. However, all the things that we learned in our life will remain with us. So if you're a dentist, you'd be a much better dentist. If you're a bridge builder, you'll be a much better bridge builder. Your interest will be there, your contribution to society will be there, just the same, except on a whole different platform. Just imagine that everything that you learn will be transferred into a love-based reality. Currently, our concepts that we have learned, we learn them on a fear-based reality. And everything that you learn will be transferred over to a love-based reality. That will make you a much better doctor or engineer or a carpenter or whatever.
Thank you, Gabor.